big void in the middle. It's okay. You're fine.
We can have more people.
No, they're not coming, so it's just you guys, so it's better for you all.
Well, then I'll just
You
slide
see that? I
into
like
the
that.
middle.
See, that just helps me. Right there, that made me feel better. Now it's all about me, right? So the reason you guys are back today is a very important appointment, the most important visit you'll have in this office, because today I'm going to teach you guys how to be the doctors, because it is your guys' choice. And like I said to you, I don't want to play dictator in your life. I don't like when doctors do that. I'd rather play what doctor means, which is educator, and educate you guys how to make the best decisions for your life and your health. Because the choice that you're going to make today is going to affect who? You guys, right? Not me, so I have to educate you to make that choice. So it's proven that as we go through this, I'm going to ask you guys questions, and then I want you guys to answer back. The reason if you do that, because then I know you're understanding the material, so when we show you the x-rays of you guys or your son, that you guys are going to make the best decisions for that. So do I have 100% of your cooperation today to do that today?
Yes.
Okay, I'm not going to ask you anything stupid or anything hard. Everything's going to be up here in front of you, and I'm the greatest phone a friend you guys could ever want or have, because I know all the answers. So the first question I want to ask you guys then is if someone was stealing money from your bank accounts or you're overpaying your bills, when would you want to know?
Immediately,
Why?
because you wouldn't want to stop it.
Before it creates what?
More problems.
A bigger problem, right? So we get that with our money, so we understand that. So now I want you guys to be going on a family vacation. You're going to be driving between Arizona and Las Vegas, okay, desert roads, and you have like hardly any tire tread in one of your front tires. When do you want to find out? Why? Well, hold on, let me before you answer that. Why?
Not changing the tire in the desert.
Or you're not
Stranded.
well, she'd be stranded. You'd be the one walking, right? No, right? Right? That's how it is, right? So you want to have that stop before it creates a major damage in your life. So the other question I have then is if you have damage right now that's going on inside your bodies, that's shutting down the nerves, that's putting pressure on the organ cells and tissues, that's going to lead to organ failure or early death, when would you want to know that? Or a better answer? Yeah, absolutely, right? Because you don't want to leave that pressure there any longer than you have to. So that's what we're going to talk about today, how that's happening right now inside your bodies, let you guys knowing. But more importantly, if I were to ask you guys if you want to be healthy, you're going to tell me what? Yeah, that's why you're here, right? But how do we define health in this country? What do we think health is?
Not having to go to the doctor.
Okay, perfect, right? So if I'm sick, or I'm not having to go to the doctor, so that equates to how I feel. Would you guys agree with that? Right? That's how most people think, that if I'm healthy, meaning if I have no symptoms, I'm in perfect health. What's the other common thing? There's something else that's up there too. It's another one, it's how I look. We think that if we look a certain way for a certain weight or a certain thing like that, that equates to health. Would you guys agree? That's how the majority of people feel? Right? That's the most common answers I get when I speak in here or all over the world, is that that's what people say. It's I'm healthy if I look great and if I feel great. The problem with that type of thinking is the top two disease killers are heart disease and cancer. And when do you feel heart disease? When it's too what? Right? Or you're clutching that chest. 80% of the time the first warning sign and symptom of heart disease is a heart attack itself, with 80% of the time people not making it. Can you have stage 4 cancer and never feel it? Answer is what? Yeah. I lost a friend, we were 25 years old. He was 6'1", 6% body fat, so he was, like 8-packs, guys that made me sick, right? Like, never had one. It's the keg. Better. Okay? So he was that way. He was a high-level hockey player in Canada. And he died of cancer, and guess when they found his cancer? Absolutely. So on Friday night we went out. I couldn't get a hold of him Saturday, couldn't get a hold of him Sunday. His father went to his apartment complex on Monday afternoon. Didn't see him, couldn't find him. As he was about to leave the apartment, he looked and he saw a light shining from his bathroom door in his bedroom. Opened it up, and that's where he found his son. And he was dead. And they did an autopsy and discovered they had brain cancer. And guess what his signs and symptoms were? Zip. Asymptomatic, no headaches, no nothing, right? So judging our health and how we look and how we feel is allowing us or leading us to the things that are killing us the fastest, which we can't see and we can't feel till it's what? Too late. So I got to change the way we think about our health today and educate you guys differently, because we're so used to that mentality. And in today's day and age, when we get sick, what are we trained to do? And what do we get?
Pill.
The magic pill, right? I'm not trying to talk down on you guys at all. I'm going to share because I was there. I was in that system for many years of my life. I was raised by a lady that was a nurse, that she turned 79 this year, and she didn't renew her nurse's certificate. because the certificate fees in Canada went up. So she was just like, I'm not gonna do it, and finally she retired, thank goodness, right? 79 years, right? But I was raised by a nurse. So the whole life, every time I got sick, the same thing was done. We turned to medication to help me get through it, and did it ever fix my problem? No, right? It just covered it up, making the symptoms worse. So can I pick on you two, since you're the only married couple here today? Is that, you okay with that?
Sure.
So if you guys are married, and there's an issue in your marriage, is it better to deal with that issue or to cover it up?
I'm gonna put it in the closet, it's not good.
Just hide it, right? Just hide it. How well does that work?
Absolutely not.
Right? But the reality is that it what? It doesn't work, right? It makes it worse. So in our lives, it's the same thing. When we have a symptom and we take a medication, does that ever fix the underlying cause? The answer is what? No. So it makes it worse without our body knowing, because we feel better every day, yet it's going worse and worse. Now, I'm not saying, can medication save your life in a crisis? And the answer is what? Heck yeah. Right? It saved my life twice when I was a baby. I almost died once from medications, once from vaccinations by the age of 2. I was found not breathing in my crib by 2 different older siblings. Thank God they were able to take me to the hospital, and the hospital saved my life, right? I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for emergency medication. But then the treatments I went through after that, did it ever make me any better? And the answer is what? No, it just kept causing more and more problems. So today I want to talk about what health is. So health isn't how I look and how I feel. Health by definition is how well your body functions and heals. So if your body functions at 100%, it's going to heal at 100%. So when your body functions and heals at 100%, what's your health going to be? Say 100%. And where do you guys want your health to be? Perfect. So there's one thing in our body that controls all function and healing in our body. Do you have any idea what that would be? Say the purple thing. See, you guys are so smart. You don't need me, right? So it's this thing right here. So here's what I want to explain to you guys right now. And if you're going to remember one thing, I want you guys to remember this one thing that I'm going to teach you next. That our brain has the most amazing healing power and healing potential, and that brain controls everything we do. So the brain sends messages of life, health, and healing down that spine, out those nerves to control the organs. So if your brain, spinal cord, and nerves work at 100%, what's the health of your organs? 100%. So could you have cancer, heart disease, thyroid conditions, colitis, cirrhosis? Could you have irritable bowel or autoimmune diseases if your body works at 100%? And the answer is what? It's absolutely impossible. Because your body would know the right thing to do at the right time to allow your body to work correctly and heal that. So here's my first quiz for you guys. If I would have said earlier this morning I had diarrhea and I was vomiting, what would you guys call me?
Sick.
Would anyone say I was healthy? No, right? Because you're all going to say I'm sick. But if I said that I had too much alcohol or I had food poisoning, my body was doing the same thing. What's my body doing? So I changed one thing and you guys all got the what? The right answer. Right? Because we're so educated to believe that every time we have a symptom, that means our body's what? Broken. Absolutely. Right? That's what the world tells us. So we run and grab that magical thing that's going to make us better. So here's the thing I want you to understand is that every symptom that your body's having, or every symptom that my body's having, is the right thing. Why? Because our body does not make mistakes. Our body's smarter than any of us. Our body's knows more than any of us. And no one's ever going to understand your brain like your own body does. Right? You might have people that claim they understand the brain and they know the brain so much better than you. It's BS. No one can understand the brain. We're not smart enough to do that. But here's the thing we do know is that if the brain can send signals down at 100%, out those nerves at 100%, your health is going to be 100%. Now, if there's a war between 2 countries and a country's fought 1,000,000 battles and another country's fought 0, who are you guys signing up with to go fight with?
The winners.
The winners, right? So here's the thing. If I don't get sick ever, what's my immune system going to be like? So whose immune system would you rather fight with? Absolutely, because that's a stronger immune system. Right? Does that make sense? Do you guys understand what I'm saying by that? That if I don't express symptoms of health and I don't ever get sick, my body doesn't know how to formulate an immune system. So the stronger our immune system is, and it's pivotal when we're children that we get sick more often, right? Because when we're our age, we want to have a strong fighting immune system that's going to protect us from major players. Because it's normally as we get older that we get sicker, right? You can see the nursing homes are full of what? Sick people, right? But why? Because they never took care of their one thing that controls it all. See, what most people do is every time you have a symptom, they study this, right? Most doctors look there. But where are the symptoms coming from? You got to be coming from where? Here. Here's how I want you guys to visualize it. Picture this being a river, right? And that water's flowing down, or the nerve flow is flowing down, okay? If I put a dam in this river, what happens to that flow? It stops. What happens below that point? Dries up, right? So you get a thing called a symptom to tell us that there's a problem where. Again, most people are going to look where the symptom's coming from. Oh, it's a cold, or it's a stomach issue, or it's a thyroid, right? They're always looking out here, but if the damage is here, what has to be removed? The dam, and then what happens? The body can send signals out those nerves to allow your body to heal. Because here's the thing. Do you guys know people have heard stories of people that have healed or cured from every type of disease? Right? There are those people, so why is it them and not all of us? Well, what they've done is they remove the interference and allow their bodies to heal. So what no one ever tells you guys, no other doctors ever told you guys, that in a span of 9 months, that if your body's working correctly, you get a whole new body developed. Because every single day cells are dying in your body, and they're either being replaced with healthy cells, new cells, or they're replaced with sick cells. But here's the thing, if I have a dam in the spine, what kind of cells am I going to get? Sick cells, right? They're not going to be replaced correctly. So the word for that dam is what we call subluxation. Are you guys familiar with that term? Probably not. So say subluxation. You guys sound great. You're a choir now, okay? Maestro. So here's what happens from things that have happened in your life, from being born, to sitting at desks, to learning how to walk and crawl, to doing our jobs, driving cars, using computers, phones. Everything that we do causes subluxations, which create dams in our body. So a normal spine should have 3 curves, 45, 45, 45. That upper angle has to be at 31 degrees, and I'll explain it more in a minute. But here's what happens. From things we do, that spine can straighten. Okay, so it goes straight up and down. That's one way you get subluxation. Second way you get it, that spine can twist and bend like that, where it looks curved from the side. That's another way of subluxation. The third way is if that spine twists. Okay, so there's 3 ways to get it. That's going to put a damning amount of pressure on these nerves. But here's the thing. You go from 100% function to 60% without ever feeling it. The minute it gets to 60% function and below is when you're going to start to feel your symptoms. So you're going to have 40% damage on a nerve before you ever know that there's a problem. Right? And then what are we trained to do? We're trained to treat the symptoms so we feel better, yet it continues to happen. Yes, worse, absolutely. So every single second there's pressure on these nerves, the body, the organ, cell, or tissue is getting more and more damaged, creating more and more problems until there's organ failure or early death. So what we got to do is we got to take pictures or x-rays to see the exact area of those subluxations. And that's what I'm going to teach you guys how to read better than 90% of doctors here in a moment. The other one I want to talk about real quick is this atlas bone right here. This is the most important bone in your entire body because it protects your brainstem. So what I want you guys to do is take your 2 fingers like this, come right below your ear, just come right in there and push side to side. That's your brainstem. It might be tender on some of you, but what does your brainstem do? Say everything.
Everything.
Okay, good. So you guys are with me, right? So here's the deal. That should be at 31 degrees. Now, if that angle goes from 31 degrees to 21 degrees, what did that just cause? A damming effect, right? At subluxation of that dam at the highest point, what? Possible. So what's going to happen below this point? Absolutely. And how do we know that to be true? Because we had a martyr a few years ago by the name of Christopher Reeves, or Superman. Right? He got bucked off a horse, and what happened to his body? Became paralyzed. That's the most common answer I get. No one ever says to me, though, that doc, he had to live via a respirator. Right? His heart only worked because it had a pacemaker. They had to feed him through a tube because he couldn't even chew his food. They massaged his stomach to go to the bathroom in a bag. And the question I have for you guys is, when was he born with bad organs? And the answer is what? He never was. What did he do? He damaged that spinal cord that shut down all life, health, and healing to every other part of his body. That it was so bad that he couldn't even grow facial hair. And do you guys know what he died of? It wasn't even pneumonia, it was a common cold. Why? Because your central nervous system regulates what system? Immune. So if there's damage up here, guess what happens to your immune system? It shuts down. There's your autoimmune diseases, there's your cancers, there's all these diseases are coming because that brain can't allow that immune system to work correctly. Because if your immune system works correctly, what could you never have? Cancer. It's impossible. So that's the one thing, and here's the thing, is I meet people all the time that say that chiropractic doesn't work. But there's a problem with that statement. Because it either works 100% of the time or it works 0. And that's reality. It might not be chiropractic not working, it could be the doctor not working. And what I mean by that is I've met people that have come in, they're like, I've had lower back aches. I just pointed, not meeting you, I just pointed you. She came in, she's like, I had lower back aches. And I said, what happened? She was like, hurt here. The doctor adjusted me in the lower back all the time. It never went away. And I said, oh, he probably adjusted you in the wrong area. And then she thought I was nuts, right? Because most people think that if you have lower back pain, where she should be adjusted? Lower back. It makes sense, right? But that, again, that's treating a what? Symptom. So I said to her this. I said, if your atlas angle goes from 31 to 21, it could be causing your lower back pain. And she was like, you're nuts. I'm like, no, because it was simple, right? Open, closed. When that's closed, where does signals not get? Anywhere below that point. And she's like, oh, I never thought about that. I'm like, right, it wasn't your fault, it was your doctor's fault because he didn't educate you properly to know that that's the most important vertebrae we got, and that's the one that in this office we work our hardest to fix. Because if we never fix this, then what's the rest of it? A waste. Right? But if you fix here, what does that allow your body to do? Absolutely. So that's the number one area that we look to. That's where the most specific and scientific with our adjustments is that area there. We're specific and scientific all over, but the area I want to fix the most and first in all you guys is that atlas right there. Because if that atlas works correctly, the rest of your body's going to work correctly. But if it's not working correctly, nothing else is going to work, right? Because what if any nutrition plans or prayer or Tony Robbins thinking or exercise programs brought any life back to Christopher Reeves? And the answer is what? No. The only thing we had to do is do what? Repair the cord, but unfortunately when you sever your cord, you're screwed. But guess what the good news is for you guys? Your cords aren't what? Hey, right? Thank goodness. So does that make sense what subluxation is and how it damages it? Okay? So right now, I'm going to teach you guys. I promised you guys I would teach you how to read x-rays better than 90% of doctors, and that's what we're going to do right now. So this is the first picture you're going to go back and look at. I know some of you are for lower back pain in other areas, but we always start from the neck because it's above, down, inside out. That's how the body works. So the first picture you're going to see is going to be a picture like that of your lateral cervical spine that should have that 45-degree curve, but more importantly, that atlas should be at 31 degrees. So that atlas bone is this top bone right here. Okay? So that's right there. So we make it really easy for you. Dr. Ryan has drawn on all your x-rays, okay, and he's measured all these angles. So on your film, you're going to see a number out of 31 degrees. What number do you want to be out of 31?
31.
Okay, perfect. Because anything less than 31 is bad. You don't want that, right? So 31's 100%. What's less than 100%? Less than 100%. Do you want to be less than 100%? No. Okay, so you guys got that. Next curve is 45. So we have the curve drawn there. Should be at a 45. And again, you guys want to be what number at a 45? Okay, perfect, because that's 100%. Anything less is bad. The other thing we talk about are discs. How many of you are afraid of damaged discs or herniated discs? You guys afraid of that? Right? So here's the deal. If you have a properly aligned spine, can you have a herniated disc? And the answer is what? No. So how do you get jelly out of a donut? Squeeze it, the jelly pops out. So in your spine, especially in your lower back, if you have a normal lumbar curve, you cannot have a herniated disc. What happens is from things we do, that curve straightens. Guess what happens to that disc material? Shoots out. So here's the thing, what most people aren't told is that 98% of people walking planet Earth, that's all people, so the billions of people, 98% have herniated discs. And you're going to say, that doesn't make sense because there's 4 of you here, so all 4 of you probably have what? Herniated discs is what I'm saying, but then you're saying to me, well, we don't feel pain. Bingo. Why? Because these nerves are made up of 90% function and 10% pain. So if you never hit a pain fiber, guess what you don't feel? Pain. Until you do what? You bend over and tie your shoe. Supposedly it's supposed to snow Friday, and you shovel your snow. And then you feel pain because something rotates, and we think that shoveling the snow causes us to rupture a disc or tying our shoes. I meet people like, I put my leg up once and I herniated a disc. I'm like, no. The disc was already herniated. You finally felt the pain because your spine rotated and hit a pain fiber. Then surgically or medically, what do they do for herniated discs? Let's cut it out, right? So what have they taken away? They've taken away your alarm system to tell you that there's what? Damage. Why do you feel pain? Right. And that we should do something about it. So I have an alarm system in this building. Why do I have an alarm system? I don't even know if they made me. I don't know. Oh, really? See,
My bank did.
right. Maybe that's probably right? But I have that to protect my what? Protect patient files, protect everything, right? So say it keeps tripping at night and it keeps going off. There's something wrong, but I'm just like, screw it. I take the batteries out or I never set it. And what happens the next day when I come to the office? Everything's gone, and when do I find out? Absolutely, so it's the same thing with these nerves, right? If you cut out a disc that's telling you there's a problem, the problem's still there, but you feel what? You feel great, right? Because I got to sleep that night, but I still got robbed, right? Is that making sense? So don't do that, okay? It's easy to fix. So if it's straightening that's causing it, what do we have to do to fix it? Bring that curve back, and guess what happens to that disc? He goes where? Back home, right? It's a reverse vacuum effect. So that's what we do. So does that make sense what normal looks like? You guys all good on that? It's up here too if you need to look as we're going through it again.
What about cartilage and things that can't necessarily be healed?
What type of cartilage?
Well, just say that something's wrong, or maybe a piece of bone got broken out. Your brain
Right.
can't necessarily
No.
heal that.
No.
So what do you do in that case?
Deal with it, right? Like ankle's gonna be different, right? But you can still stimulate it because your body will lay down new bone. So bone grows under what? Good. Yes, that's a correct answer. But bone grows under stress. So when you're active and moving, right, that's when your bone starts being developed. So if you wear a cast and you don't use your arm, what happens to that? The muscles atrophy, right? But the bone, it's a slow healing process. That's why when I educate people that have broken bones, say your right arm's in a cast or left arm's in a cast, guess what I'm telling you to do with your right arm? Arm curls, you do a bunch of things because that stress is going to allow your body can't determine which hand's doing it, so it grows both bones faster. So the reality we have osteoporosis after an old age is because we retire, and what do?
Nothing.
We sit around, right? It's like, hey, we're retired, and then we sit around, we become frail because we're not as active, or we're not as active because we hurt more, and that's when you become more osteoporotic. Parodic. Canadian, don't judge. There's no judging my accent. Does that help you? But here's the thing. I'll show you some here that'll make sense in a moment, so keep that answer. So here's the 4 phases that I gotta show you. The first 3 are like this. That's the same picture from the side, okay? It's the very same picture. What happened to that curve? So is that healthy or sick? Do you think you feel this? No, you won't even know it's there. Why? Because you don't have any pain, right? You're gonna have symptoms. But again, we've been educated, or we've been taught that it's not coming from my neck or my back because I have no what? No pain.
You're not saying it's the same.
No, it's not the same person.
Same spot.
It's the same spot. Yes, thank you.
Um,
No, it's the same picture, sorry. Not the same person. Same view. Thank you for calling me in. Right? No, I appreciate it. So what happens here is like this. So it's gone straight up and down, right? You're not going to know that's there. Why? Because it's not hitting a pain fiber. It's not causing any pain, but it's causing symptoms to be happening in the body. Wherever there's a straightening, there's going to be symptoms correlating with those organ cells and tissues. So when you have a problem and we leave it, it gets worse. So then it moves into phase 2. This takes, in phase 2, you can see this advanced degeneration at that lower part of the spine. So you can see how those bones are changing shape and laying down new bone. That takes 12 years to develop. So you need to remember that number of 12 years. To go from normal to here takes 12 years. And then we get to phase 3. By then you're probably feeling really bad. But how many people do you think I see in practice in phase 3? Not too many. Want to know why?
They've accepted it.
Or everything else.
So they got it.
You're both here, right? Or they're not here, right? So that normally the people that I see now in phase 3 are the ones that are occupying our nursing homes. And what's the nursing home rate in Colorado? You can't get a what? There's no room. No room. And here's the thing, we ask you guys your goals, dreams, and desires, right? And I read them all. And not one time did I see your goals, dreams, and desires being living where? Nursing home. But the reality is when we lose our health, where do we end up? Well, we hope, right? I like that thinking, right? That's what I'm educating my kids on. There's no such thing as nursing homes. You gotta take care of me. No, but the reality is that's where we end up, right? And I used to go speak there all the time. It would ruin, like, it was so disheartening to go in there and ask these people, what happened? They're like, well, we had pain our whole life, and we didn't know that there was an answer. We accepted it. We did nothing about it. We tried everything, and it didn't get us the right results. And we still ended up here, right? But it's not the life you want. So 9 years ago when I got out of school, there was nothing we could do to help these people. They'd walk in, you guys would refer to your grandpas, aunts, uncles, they'd come in, and I'd be like, you know what, we gotta treat your symptoms, because I can't help you. Today though, because I go train with the top doctors every 4 months, so I got 2 trips, I got next week and the end of the month I'm going to train the top doctors in the world, where now today we can get people like that results. So if I can get people like this results, who else can I get results to? The earlier we find it. So because of the work that we did, my wife and I were hand-selected to be part of the 2012 U.S. Olympic team, but I had to turn it down. Why? Yes, thank you. I was hoping someone would say because I was Canadian. I like throwing that in there. No, it's right, because we had a baby, and my daughter was born in May, and I was supposed to go in July, and we were like, I'm not going to England with a newborn child. And people are like, why didn't you leave your wife? I'm like, because I'm a smart man, not stupid, okay? So that's that. So that, I've done the CrossFit Games the last 4 years, where I've gone to LA to be part of the chiropractic team for that. I've done the Denver Cutthroats the last 2 years, would have done it this year, but they folded. We did the Colorado Rapids for years. I have USA swimmers that come here. I have USA track and field athletes that fly to Colorado to come see me. So I got all these athletes doing it, and I help tons of people here, and it's all because we don't treat symptoms, we get to the underlying cause of the problem, and people see this and want it now. So that's, that's what we do, and I'm committed to getting better results, because selfishly, if I'm training Dr. Ryan and my wife, and we're all training to get better results, who else gets better results? Well, me first, right? Because I care about who the most? Why? Because if I'm not healthy, what happens to you guys?
You can't help anybody else.
Absolutely. Right? But here's the problem, is that we always want to be self-server. We want to serve other people before who? Before ourselves. That's how we all are, right? I get guilty of that too. But you have to realize that if I'm not healthy, no one else can be healthy. So that's why I pride that the people looking after me are the best of the best. Why? Because I want the what? Best. I ain't settling for anything less. Okay, does that make sense? One more I got to show you real quick is this one right here. What do you notice about that guy's x-ray? Is it healthy or sick?
It's got a cavity.
His thing is like this, not like this.
Okay, perfect. So his top bone's where? Completely what?
Flat.
Right.
Flat, almost the wrong way. And that curve is actually what we call a reverse cervical curve. That's the worst thing we can see in practice. So instead of it being 45 degrees backwards, it's gone negative. So it's gone forward. Science shows that that takes 15 to 20 years off a person's life if you have a reverse curve in any area of your body. We've never found anyone over the age of 65 in the 500 offices in the world that are certified like us in what we do. Okay? So where's this guy headed? Or
Early grade.
early grade, right? No one over the age of 65. Do you think he's ever been able to reach his potential or do great things in life? Probably not. And how old do you think he is? What's your guess?
22.
Close. 25. So he's 25 years old. He was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes and cirrhosis of the liver. Okay? At 25 years old. His medical doctor told him that his options were 15 pills to save his life. That caused infertility, erectile functions, and sterility. So he got engaged 6 months prior to finding that out, so now he was told he'd never have what? Child. So he went to his medical doctor and said, look, is there another option besides these medications? And his doctor said, no, you can take him or you can die. And that was the day that I chose death. Okay, this was my x-ray. 6 months to go before chiropractic school finished. I'm in chiropractic school at this time, and I got diagnosed with cirrhosis and type 2 diabetes. So one of my classmates said to me, you got to go meet this chiropractor. He can help you. What do you think I said?
Yeah, right.
Oh, that's polite. That's very polite. I said, hell no. I said, I'm not going. I said, I've been the best medical doctors in the world. They told me that I'm garbage, I'm broken. I flew back from Canada to Iowa. I met my fiance there at the time. I told her to leave me and go find someone new. Because when I heard that I had to take medications that cause that or die, I was just like, I'm going to go out on my own accord. So I went down a big pile of depression. I pushed all my friends and family away, and I didn't care if I ever graduated chiropractic school. And I had 6 months to go. But he kept pushing this friend. Keep going, you have to go. Finally, the guy came to me and said, what's your life been like the last, several months? And what did I say? Hell, right? It's been hell. Honestly, it was hell. Like, I didn't want that on me. I don't want that upon any of you to ever have that feeling that you're hopeless and helpless. And he goes, what would you be willing to do to get your life and your health back? And what do you think I said? Whatever it takes. And he goes, I put your name down to go to this dinner at the dock. It was a 35-minute drive from our college, and I drove. And I went, but he said you had to take your fiance with you. And I was like, thanks. But I'm a man of integrity, a man of my word, so when I said I'd do anything, I asked her to go. We went to this thing, and I was skeptical as all hell. I was like, what the hell's going to be the catch? What's he going to try to sell me? What's this magical thing? Is it going to be like the Matrix, right? green or red. I think that was the color, so I'm bad at that movie. So I drive there, and I get there, and the guy started talking to me about the spine and the nervous system and educating me on subluxation. It was the first time that I heard it, and it was 6 months before I graduated chiropractic college. Then he was talking about the only way to see if there's damage in your spine is by taking a x-ray. So up to this point in my time in chiropractic school, I was recruited out of Canada. I almost made the national rugby team in Canada. They recruited me to go play rugby at Palmer. That's how I became a chiropractor. Like, hey, we got a rugby scholarship for you. I was like, sweet, I'm like Rudy. That was my dream, right? To play at Notre Dame. Never got Notre Dame, I got Palmer Chiropractic College. So I went down, and I never thought there was a problem. And he said, you know, I got adjusted probably 1,000 times up till I went to that guy's dinner, and no one ever had a picture of my what? Of my spine. So they were praying popping. What I mean by that is every time I'd get hurt or do a scrum or get tackled or I'd run to the sidelines, a guy would put his hands on my back and just adjust me, grab my neck and adjust me. I call it praying popping. What I mean by that is that they popped my neck and prayed that they got the what? The right segment. So here I was my whole life, didn't understand that you needed to take x-rays to see it. So I went in and got x-rayed, and when I saw that, I was completely shocked and alarmed. And that's when he said, he started talking to me about more. I'm like, well, how'd that happen, right? That's how we all want to know, how to get that way. And his response to me was, you shouldn't be cared about how it got that way. Your question should have been, is how do I fix it? Right? I'm like, well, I get that, but when did this start? He goes, I'm betting that it started when you were born. And I said, what do you mean? He looked at my history and stuff like that was going on, and he says, I'm willing to bet you're born C-section. And I'm like, I don't think so. I'm like, no, I was a natural birth. Then I get home, I call mom, I'm like, how was I born? She's like, oh, you're a C-section, you're emergency C-section. I'm like, what do you mean? She was on the way out, your large head that I still have today got stuck in my pelvis. And they had to cut me open. 2 nurses had to sit on her shoulders, and the doctor was standing above her pulling. She said they pulled so hard that she heard a loud pop, and then, they don't even check my neck or my head or anything after that. They just checked to see the APGAR, and she's like, oh, you measured good, so we thought you were healthy. So what happened is when I was born, because I got pulled out, my head got stuck, my atlas vertebrae went the wrong way. So like I said to you guys earlier, I almost died twice by the age of 2, once from vaccinations, once from medications, but was it really that? The answer is no. What was it from? My spinal cord was being choked off, that when these things got put in me, guess what my body couldn't do? It couldn't fight it. They couldn't do what was necessary, so it shut my body down. Luckily, like I said, one of my siblings found. From there on in, I had 6 sets of tubes put in my ears, not 1, not 2, 6, that was fun, right? As a little kid going in and getting that done all the time. There's only so many transformers you could get for enduring that hell, right? But I got them. But then my body rejected it every single time. On my 6th birthday, I had my adenoids stolen from me. I was on medications most of my life. I suffered 3 times a year from strep throat, and I was told I was going to have it for the rest of my life, right? That's it. You're just a carrier. It's just who your body is. I was diagnosed with developmental delays, which would equate to some of the Asperger's autisms today. I was diagnosed with dyslexia, and I'm pretty sure if they would have had ADHD when I was a kid, I would have had it. Why? Because my body was what? Broken, right? Signals. I couldn't sit still. I couldn't read. I couldn't write. I have damage on my fingers still from crushing pencils, from trying to print properly. Like I broke so many pencils, they had to buy me triangles to hold. I had to go to special classes. I had delayed onset puberty. My whole life was just ruined. And then get that diagnosis at 25, but this chiropractor is saying that he could what? Absolutely. He said, all you have to do is take that pressure off and allow your body to heal. So I put a lot of trust and faith. He showed me the cost of care. It was $6,000. And I'm a student from Canada. I only could make $300 every trimester, which is 3 months. So I call home to mom and dad. I'm like, hey, can you pay $6,000 for me to fix my spine? What do you think they said?
No.
I said, forget it. They go, you got free care at school. Go get the free stuff. I'm like, but the free stuff ain't fixing me. And they were like, too bad. So I went to 13 different banks. Why? Because I'm from Canada, and you Americans don't like lending Canadians anything. It's true. I'm just kidding. Right? So I went to 13 banks. I was on the 13th bank. One of the branch managers like, I got good news. We can give you a loan. And it was 26% interest. And what do you think I said? Thank you. Right? I was so thankful. So I signed my name. I got the loan. I went and paid. The guy wanted me to do 6 months of care, but I was graduating school in less than 3 months. So I went to his office every single day, 5 days a week, 35-minute drive from school. Driving there, getting adjusted, sometimes twice a day. And I went from 265 pounds that August, is when I went to his dinner, I graduated school October 20th at 195 pounds. I lost 75 pounds in 3 months. People are like, how'd you do it? Well, I ate less and I worked out less. Or sorry, I ate more and worked out less. But the reality is no. What I do, I fixed my body to allow my body to function and heal. So when he took x-rays of my lower back, I had a 14-degree curvature of my spine, crushing the nerves of my pancreas and my liver. Right? So what was causing it? It was the subluxation that was causing my organs to shut down. And here's the reality is that on the film, he actually showed me that my body wasn't digesting food, it was actually fermenting the food. So I could see all this food backed up in my x-rays. So I was a guy that tried yo-yo diets, right? No, I didn't say I didn't try yo-yo diets. I tried my hardest to lose weight. Do you think I wanted to be 265 pounds? No. But here's the thing, I'd lose 10, I wouldn't lose any more, then I'd go back. I'd give up, and I'd put on 20. And that's just how it worked, right? I was high-level rugby in the United States. And I never knew I had a problem. Then I got this started fixing, and when I was actually able to eat the food, my body was able to digest and assimilate it and allow my body to work correctly. So I fixed my spine. And then in 2007, before we got married, we bought life insurance for each other, and I got the top rate. And he's like, no one ever gets this rate. I'm like, well, I'm going to get it. He's like, I doubt it. But my wife and I both got it. Why? Because our bodies were functioning at what level? 100%. So they couldn't find cirrhosis, no diabetes. People still this day say I didn't reverse my diabetes, and I'm going, I'm pretty sure I did. Right? Because they don't want you to be well. So if it works for me, it works for who? Why? Because I'm Canadian, you're all Americans, so you guys are far, no, I'm just, right? But it works for everyone. That's my whole point, is that I didn't think it was going to work, but until I fixed this, it never did. And so I was just committed, and that's all I'm asking you guys to do too. So here's your first test. From the front, is this guy healthy or sick? Okay, so here's what I want you to do. As a group, I'm going to show you up here. From here down, okay, yell out the organs that are being affected. Kidney? Okay, perfect. That took you guys 15 seconds as a group to figure this guy's symptoms out. He'd been in the best doctors in Colorado for the last 2 years, and you guys diagnosed his problems better than they did. So his name was Joel. His sister sat through the report just like you guys are doing and brought Joel to see me the very next day. But he didn't understand why he was coming to a chiropractor because he had no what? No pain. Right? He had symptoms. And here's what they were. When he walked through that door, he had a backpack. In his backpack was a change of clothes. Because he was 25 years old, and he was going to the bathroom over 50 times a day and most times wetting his pants. So if that were any of you, what would you guys want to do? Or, right? Or nothing, right? You wouldn't want to leave your, that's a great answer. I've never had, right? You're like, well, that's the most logical thing. But when you have that going on, you don't want to leave your house, right? So he took a leap of faith to come here that day with his clothes because he was embarrassed. He wasn't walking up, he was walking hunched over. And he said to me, he goes, my sister said you could cure me. And what do you think I said? No. I said, no. I said, I can't cure you, man. That's not, I don't have that power. I'm not no cure. I'm not no magical, mystical man. I said to him this. I said, we can take an x-ray to see if the problems are coming from your what? From your spine. And if they are, and if I can fix it, what's your body going to do? So who's the cure? You guys, not me, right? You guys aren't. Telling you, stop looking for the cure. Just get you're in the morning and look and be like, oh, okay, I found the answer to my problems. It's right there, right? So that's all I said. So he'd been to every expert. And here's the thing, he got put on so many medications from having like the wetting in the pants, and just treating all these symptoms. He started looking at the medications at home at night, saying if you're on this one, don't take it with this one. He'd call the doctor and be like, Doc, it says don't take it with this, and guess what the doctor would say?
Oh, it's fine.
Google's wrong. Don't trust that. I'm the doctor. So he kept doing it. To the point now where he'd spent $200,000 on his health. He was on a transplant list at Arista Hospital here in Louisville or Lafayette because he needed a kidney transplant. Because his right kidney went from 100% function these 2 years down to 6%. Right? So he's like, I need to have a kidney transplant. Here's the thing, here's what I said to him. What do I want to use for an example? So, you're 30.
41.
Why? Why'd you admit to that? I was giving you the benefit of the doubt. 30 years old.
I guess I'm honest.
Can you be 30?
Yeah, I'll be 30.
Or are you proud to be 41? Okay, so that's fine. So you're 9, so you're going to live for another 59 years, okay? 59 years in perfect health. So how well are your organs going to work for those next 59 years? At 100? 100%, right? So here's the good news for all the rest of you. You all get another 59 years added on your lives of perfect health. Meaning that you die at your age plus 59 years doing something you love. Okay, not in a nursing home. You're going to be running on the beach, doing something you want, hiking, jogging, whatever it is. So you guys with me on that? But your organs are going to last for how long? Say 59 years. You guys with me? 100%. So here's the deal. If a friend or family member of one of you guys needed one of your kidneys, would you be so apt to let that person have your kidney? You would, right? That's what most of us want to do. Here's the thing. If that was their spine, would you still want to give them that kidney? Okay, but now what you know now, would you still want to do it?
Well, I'd want them to get help, but yeah, I'd still probably give this.
Why not?
Well, I wouldn't want to do it with that, but actually, I wouldn't do it.
Oh, I wasn't calling you out on that. I didn't know that. But here's the reality, right? Because here's the thing. Here's what I wanted you guys to understand, is that if I take your kidneys, they're going to last for 59 more years, and I put it in this guy's body, is it going to last?
No, not unless you get some other kind of help,
Why?
because his body's broken.
Right, because what killed the kidney in the first place?
That's fine.
Absolutely, because the brain couldn't get nerves, right? Because if it was a genetic kidney disorder, when would he have found out?
Maybe.
Really? You got a kidney issue?
I have one kid.
Do you? Did you lose one?
It's never well.
Really?
Found out.
Well, he had DPJ obstruction.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's like, you know, I don't want to talk, what do I want to say politically correct? That's an exception, right? Like, that's something that, yeah, you didn't probably know. When did you find out?
I started having severe back pain.
Yeah.
And went to a chiropractor.
Really? So it wasn't, you didn't find out you only had one kidney till later on in life?
I went to the chiropractor, yeah, no, it was 30.
Holy smokes.
He said, well, there's no reason for me to know. The only reason I started knowing was because it started swelling up, retaining water.
Okay.
And the retained water was getting hurt.
Wow.
And then he had blood.
Well, yeah, it's never fun. Wow, see, there's an exception to my rule, right? He's right here in front of me if you're wondering. But does that make sense, right? So here's what I said to him. Here's what I said to Joel. I said, look, man, you can go get that new kidney put in you, and it's going to last 3 to what? 3 to 5 years, and then it's going to what? Fail again, right? It's called rejection. That's what medicine calls it. Or we can try to straighten this. But here's what I said to him. I said, I'm not a kidney expert. Am I saying that I can make that kidney come back? Who can, though? Your body, if it's not too what? If it's not too late. So I said to him this, I said, look, my goal is to get that spine straight, because if that spine becomes straight, now a new kidney gets put in there, what might work longer? The new kidney. So I said to Joel, do you want to go to least invasive to most invasive, or most to least? And what do you think he chose?
Most at least.
Least to most, right? He said he didn't want to try to fix it here first. Do you think one adjustment fixed the dude? No, it was a series of adjustments over a length of time to get his body functioning and healing. But here's the thing, after the first year of him being under care in this office, a different guy walked through that door. Because guess what he no longer needed?
Backpack closed.
Both. Right, absolutely. No kidney, no backpack. Why? Because his kidney function went from 6% up to 86% function. He stopped peeing his pants, stopped taking all of his medications, loving life. A few years ago he moved. And the only people I'll send your friends and family to are people that are certified like my wife and I and Dr. Ryan. So he moved to San Diego. He goes and sees one of my great friends, Dr. Ryan Hummel. Someone that I would trust him to adjust me, my wife, and my 2 children. Okay, that says a lot. I would let other people adjust me over my wife and kids. You guys get that? Like, no one's going to adjust them other than who? Right. I'm pretty selective. Me, I'm like, if I'm dying, sometimes I'll make, I've asked Jenna to try to adjust me a few times before if Dr. Ryan's missing. Like, I trust her over the guy 2 doors down. Okay?
I have a question.
Yes.
So does he have to go to a chiropractor forever now to make sure that it doesn't?
Well, let me ask you this.
where it was?
So now he's married, okay, and has a child. So how grateful do you think he was that he fixed his problem? Now the question is you asked a great question, do you have to go for the rest of your life? What do you think he's going to choose to do?
The rest of his life,
Why?
to make sure he doesn't go back into that.
Now if I would say to you, you have to see you 3 times a week for the rest of your life, I'd tell you to go find someone new, because that means I suck. That's not my goal, right? My goal is, like, I love seeing people, I love you guys, but I don't want to see you 3 days a week for the rest of your life. Why? Because that's not what I want. I just want to be there to maintain it, right? Like, I want to help people maintain it. What people choose for maintenance is up to who? It's up to you guys, right? So they all, like, I'll recommend what I think is best for people. I think once a week is the best. in maintenance. Why? Because of the lifestyles that we lead. You guys drive, use cell phones, do work, right? So it's putting what? It's putting stress on our spine. I get adjusted still 3 times a week. Is that too much? No, but my job is so what? Physically demanding that I'm over you guys like this, doing the same things over and over, and when do I want to get my spine healthy? Yesterday, right? So guess what? When I feel pain, it's too what? It's too late. So we adjust each other all the time. Why? I don't have health insurance. What do I put my money in? Chiropractic, my wife's hands. That's why I married a chiropractor. No. Okay, does that make sense? So he does great. It's the only people I'll send your friends and family to. And I actually have people that have their people move here if there's no one that I trust where they live. Because I got sick and tired of sending people to people that acted like they did what I did. Then your friends and family would go, wouldn't get the same results, and who took the blame? Yeah, you're pissed at me. So after about the 5th time of that happening, I'm like, screw it, just tell your friends to move here, we'll correct them, they can go maintain it by anyone. I don't care if it is the maintenance, the correction is the what? The most important. This guy here, I'm going to show you his. Healthy or sick?
Sick.
Do you think he's been to a chiropractor before? 20 years he saw a chiropractor.
Why is he sick? Just the way the spine's
See, yes, it's bent, right? So it's, remember?
Sideways.
Right, yeah, it's bent sideways, right? So he's bad, right? So there's all that pressure. 20 years he's seen a chiropractor. He moved here from Florida. I met him at his health fair up at Time Warner Cable. And he said to me, I love chiropractors, right? I love when I hear that, but it makes me nervous. So I said to him, what do your x-rays look like? What do you think he said?
I don't know.
Never had them. I said, tell me about your experience for 20 years. He was 20 years I've suffered with sciatic issues. 20 years I've had digestive issues. And now when I just moved out here a few months ago to do my physical, they think I have prostate cancer. Why? Because the nerves in the lower back go to digestive organs, they go to reproductive organs, and they go down the leg. So I'm like, awesome. So I said, tell me what your chiropractor did. He was the guy would come in, he'd give me an ice pack, a heat pack. He used the E-stim machine, he used the ultrasound machine, he used a red laser, laid me on a rolling massage table, waterbed table, popped my back, and out the door I went. And I said, well, how much did you pay for all that? He goes, well, I had insurance. I said, well, how often? I said, well, what was it? He goes, I paid a $10 copay. I said, well, how often did you go? He goes, I went once a month. I said, well, are you on maintenance? He goes, no, I went once a month the entire time. And I said, why? He goes, because I only had 12 visits through my insurance. So I figured I'd spread it out once a month. And I said, $10 isn't bad, but how much was he charging your insurance company? Do you guys know what number he told me? How much do you think all those services would add up to be?
How many years?
20. The chiropractor is billing $500 a visit. So in visit number 13, what would I legally have to charge you guys if I was in network like that? $510. How many of you guys would pay $510 for an adjustment? Better yet, would I pay $510 for an adjustment? And the answer is what? Not that kind of adjustment. Why? Because it wasn't getting him well. So everything that we do in this office is designed to correct spines. So you saw people the other day doing these wobbles, right? Why do we have the wobble cushions? Because it rehydrates your discs. So you asked about, loss of cartilage and things like that. Well, all we have to do is rehydrate it and your body's going to want to heal itself. So we start doing that to help with the discs and it loosens up the muscles. Then you go over those neck traction units and you saw people doing these exercises. What those do is they stretch the ligaments in the entire spine. So I've worked with the disc, I've worked with the muscle, now I've worked with the ligament, and I adjust you based off your what? X-rays, which is your blueprint. Because do you want me to be 100% certain when it comes to your life and your health, or just 98?
100?
Would I accept anything less than 100? And the answer is what?
No.
Heck no. So that's why I did it off your X-rays. So I adjust the same areas over and over to allow that body to move to a new position. And what we have that's different than most other doctors is we use those vibe therapy. Where you saw people with like the Russian hats on, there's the head weights, and we had shoulder weights and hip weights. What you do immediately after you adjust it, you go stand on there, and that helps hold your body in the new position that I just moved it to. So it gets results faster, it stops the aging and degeneration process like that, it regenerates all the cells and tissues in your body. So that thing there has increased our results so fast, and the results that we got have been amazing. With our cancer patients, to RA patients, to our kids that were told they'd never walk. Just things like that happen on those plates because it's resetting the nervous system. And then what we do that's different is every single one of you as practice members get a home care kit. Because the things you do at home brought you where? Here, right? And how much would I have to hate you guys to tell you to stop doing the things you love to do? How many of you guys would do that if I told you to do that? Not many, right? So he heard it enough, he heard it so many times from all of his doctors that it was his job causing his health concerns. It's gotta be your job, your job's too stressful. It's your job. Was it his job? No, it's his spine, right? But he worked for Pixar, so he drew Toy Story, okay? He heard it was his job, so he quit, and he moved up here to Time Warner Cable because he thought it was his job. So we started adjusting him 3 times a week for the first 3 months, and I took an x-ray in the middle. Why do you think I take x-rays?
Just to see what's getting better.
Yeah, absolutely see progress, right? To see, one, if you guys have been asked doing the things I want, making your visits, doing your home care. I also want to see that I stop the progression. Because if there's a train tracks that run out back of my office, and if my little daughter is on the train tracks, who's got to move? She does. Why? Because that train can't stop what? Like that. It takes a length of time to stop. So it's the same thing with your body. That if there's damage, gravity's making it worse by the what? By the minute. So I got to stop gravity from doing that negative things and stop your spine from moving. And then we want to look to see if there's new areas that pop up. So here's his x-rays after 6 months. How much better is he?
A lot.
Right? What do you think happened to his sciatica?
Went on,
Absolutely. Digestive issues?
probably went away.
Yeah, I can show you here.
Probably constantly on
Yeah, you saw that?
it.
That's gonna show- Well, he got it.
We have a reason.
All right, yeah. So it's, yeah, see all this stuff? So that's a guy that's fermenting what? Fermenting food, not digesting food. And in this picture, you can see it's what? Almost all gone. So in 5 years since he's been under care, back to that. So no more sciatica, no more digestive issues. He brought me a letter 3 months after this x-ray from his cancer doctor, and it said that he had one of the nicest looking prostates around, when 6 months prior they thought he had prostate cancer. He's also lost 105 pounds in the 5 years he's been under care in my office. So every month I put on workshops. Why do I put on workshops? Because I want to teach you guys the most cutting edge information on health and healing there is today, so you guys can live the greatest life of your dreams. We make them like university class. I do them for you guys, I don't do them for me, but the worst thing I could ever do for people is hold truth. Not sharing my information is the worst thing I could do. So he's lost 105 pounds, and he gave me the greatest compliment I've ever received in practice so far. So he said that when he worked for Time Warner Cable, he thought he had the world in his hands. He thought he had the greatest job. He came up here, he was depressed. I started adjusting, we got his body healing and functioning. He quit that, and now he's a missionary. So he said, you helped me reach my potential, and through reaching my potential, I found my purpose in life, which is to help others. That was the greatest compliment I've ever received in practice. His family still gets adjusted. They go serve mission trips. That's all he does now, and he just loves life, and I just love that I was a part of that. What did I do? I just removed the what? The interference and allow his body heal. And that's what we do here every single day. There's one more I got to show you real quick, then we'll take you guys back. Besides the earrings and necklace, is that healthy or sick?
It's not 45.
So it's absolutely. So I use that one because a lot of people are like, oh, it's not that bad. But I'm like, if that was you, would you want to be better? And what does everyone say? Yeah. Here's the problem. She went and got x-rayed in 2004, okay? At least the chiropractor took x-rays. But he didn't bring her back to teach her how to read her own x-rays. He just said, I found your problems. It was going to be 48 visits and $4,800 to fix. And what do you think she said? Too much, right? I can't afford it. Plus, I don't have the time. So I met her in 2009. And what do you think happened? Do you think it got better or worse? Worse. So here she was in 2009. Here's what I want to show you. So what do you see down there in that disc and that bones? It got what? More advanced, right? This is phase 2. How long did I tell you guys it took to go from normal to phase 2 at the beginning? 12 years. These x-rays are 5 years apart. So when did her problems truly start? 7 years before she had headaches. See, she went to the guy because she was having headaches. And when she heard the price and the cost, she's like, it can't be that. It's coming from my job because every single person I work with has what? Headaches. So she thought it was her job, so she did nothing. So I met her in 2009. When she came in, I said, how's it affecting your life? She starts crying on me. I said, what's wrong? She was, I had a husband at home and 2 children. She was, if I'm lucky enough to make it out of bed and make it to work. So I said, what do you mean lucky enough? She was, most days I can't get out of bed. She says, when I go to work, I get home, I hop in the bath, and I sleep. And I said, well, what's that doing? She's like, it's ruining my relationship with my husband and ruining my relationship with my kids because I don't want to be a part of their lives. I'm like, wow. And I said, what happened? She was, I keep going to all these different doctors and specialists that keep running all the tests. So if I took this x-ray to a normal doctor, what are they gonna tell me that x-ray is? They're gonna tell you it's what? Normal. Here's why. I told you guys you can read x-rays better than 90% of doctors. Why? Because of this. As a doctor, I legally have to read x-rays like every other doctor. Okay, I have to look for fractures. So if there's no fractures, check. I have to look for pathology, which is like, or disease process. So abnormalities or disease or cancers or tumors or degenerative conditions. And if there's none of that, what do we call that person? Healthy. I don't call them healthy. What, medically they call them healthy, right? And then what do they do for healthy people? Nothing. But when you keep going in and you keep saying I got bad headaches and migraines are ruining my life, and they keep doing testing and they can't find anything wrong, what do they call you?
Crazy.
Yeah. So she said she went in one day and she had that x-ray taken. She said she walked out of there with antidepressants, antipsychotics, bipolar medication, thyroid, blood pressure, cholesterol. They gave her Prilosec because those other 6 caused acid indigestion. Then she said she got a call one day when things still weren't getting better from Anschutz campus saying that they had a clinical trial drug where she could go get an injection in the back of her skull every single week. It was $500 for this clinical trial. And what did she do? She did it. She was going to get injected, big huge injections in the back of her skull every week, and guess what it wasn't doing? Helping. So she was spending $2,500 a month on her health, and where was it going? Nowhere. So I said, do you want to leave it or fix it? What do you think she said? I would have hoped so. She said, what happens if I leave it? And what did I say? It gets worse. And I said, eventually you're going to go in one day, it's going to be bone on bone, and then you're going to be a candidate for spinal fusion. So this is a different lady. Okay, this isn't her. This is a complete different lady. She chose spinal fusion. Okay, why do you think she chose spinal fusion?
Because the insurance would cover it.
That's exactly what she did. So I took her back. I showed her, I said, here's your x-rays. We can help you fix it. She goes, great, I'm in. I'll do whatever it takes. She goes, what's it cost? I showed her the cost. She goes, what's my insurance cover? And I said, nothing. So she goes, well, I'm going to go do spinal surgery because they're going to pay for it. And what did I say? Okay, that's your what? It's your choice. You have to be okay with it. I said, if that's what you want to do, do it. She goes, aren't you going to talk me out of it? What did I say?
No.
No, that's not my job. I'm not going to practice. I'm not going to be here. But why do I have her x-ray?
She came back.
Yep, 6 months after her surgery, she came back. And I said to her, what happened? She was 3 weeks. She goes, I thought I won the lotto. She goes, I felt great for 3 weeks. And after that 3rd week, my life started going where? Back down. And I said, how much? So she comes in, she goes, can I just pay the amount that you showed me before for care? And I said, well, hold on, how much was your spinal surgery? Right, because she told me I was too what? Too expensive. I said, how much was your spinal surgery? She was $180,000. And guess what her insurance covered? 90%. So she spent 18 grand to have rods put in her neck. And that today she was no what? Better. So guess how much I told her care was? I said I raised my prices. What did I tell her?
18 grand.
Absolutely. I'm a smart man, right? Was I serious? No, I wanted to see her face. Right? It was, but then she goes, please use my x-rays to tell people, just don't do it if your insurance doesn't cover it. Right? Don't pay for that if you're, why would you do that? And so she's no better off. Today she's a lot better. She's off all of her meds. She enjoys life. People say, can you help people with surgeries? And what do I say? Yeah. Jenna's husband has 2 surgeries. He was a pro MMA fighter. We got him to win his championship belt. Why? Because we started working, allowing his body to heal. He got stronger and healthier. Can I adjust that area though? No. That's why I take x-rays, so I know adjust above and below it. I'm not going to, even though it's metal, I'm not going to win anyways, it's metal, but I just don't like to mess with it. Okay, does that make sense? So I said to Pat, do you want to leave it or fix it? You're right, she chose to fix it. What does fixing it mean? It means not letting that get any worse. Right? That's the greatest thing I can do is stop your problems or stop your spine where it's at today and not let it get any worse. And so here's her x-ray. Okay, how much better do you think she is? Yeah, absolutely. So she was worried about cost, right? She's like, I don't think I can afford it. I said, Pat, you're spending $2,500 a month. If you break up my care monthly and it's another $300, you're spending $2,800. But the minute I get you healthy and well and you're off your other meds, what do you save? She's like, $2,500. So I said, yeah, it was tight for a while, but a month and a half into care, guess what she stopped taking? All her pills. Absolutely. She didn't do the shots anymore. She's never had a headache since that day. Now she was a bank teller that could hardly hold her, right? She thought she was going to get fired. Now she's the CEO of one of the largest banks in Colorado. Why? Because when you have your health, what can you reach? Your potential. When you have your potential, what can stop you? nothing, right? So it's just great. I just love sharing that. That bone's never got any worse. It's a bad illustration, but I have regenerated discs in people's backs. I haven't regenerated, your bodies have, right? But I just don't normally talk about that because I don't know if it's going to happen anymore. Why? Because I just don't know. I'm not that gifted to see into the future, but I just know it can happen. So that makes sense how we get results. So I'm going to take you guys back. I'll show you guys your x-rays. We're going to talk about where they're at and say, do you want to leave it or fix it? Does it make sense how we fix it? Through the adjustments, through the home care, just being involved, I promise you'll get great results. So the only thing I ask is if you choose to do it, that you're committed. But committed to who? Yourselves. Don't do it for me, don't do it for anyone else, do it for yourselves, and I guarantee you'll get the results if you're committed. So that just means making your visits, getting the required amount of adjustments in. It doesn't mean certain drives up here, you can do it all in one day. I have people that drive 7.5 hours from Wyoming and 6 or 7 hours from Nebraska and eastern Colorado. They'll come here on Monday, do all 3 visits in the morning and drive back, and what kind of results do they get? Great. Why? Because 3 means 3, if it's that. They just do their home care. I wish one lady could get here more, but I can't force her to pick up and move her life. We do what we can, and she's still getting great results. Second thing is, if you have family that hasn't been checked, I check you at my expense. Why? Because if I can find damage early, who's happy? Not me, you guys. I'd be happy if my family is checked early, right? Definitely, damn right. So yeah, you guys are happy. Here's the reason why I did that. 6 years ago, or 9 years ago when I graduated school, my first ever report, right? Chiropractic saved my life. Do you think I was man enough to tell people that? Do you think I was as bold as I am today? And the answer is what? No. 9 years ago, all I cared about was people liking me. That was my weakness. I just liked to be liked. So I'm just going to pick on you. Because the dad was sitting there like that, but he never made a smile at me, never made eye contact with me. He had a huge beard belly, biker-ish kind of guy, so I was scared, right? I'm Canadian, I'm wimp, stepped on ice. Okay, so he sat there, looking down, never making eye contact. The wife was there and they had their 2 teenage kids. So halfway through, I sensed that the dad didn't want to be there. Instead of calling out and saying, hey, pay attention, I turned my back on him. Okay, I did, I turned my back. So I put the wife and 2 kids through care. He never got checked. I never asked him about it, never brought it up. 2 years of them going by, getting great results off all their allergy meds. The kids were doing great in school. He comes in one day and goes, hey, can I get checked? What do you think I said? Absolutely. But we took his x-ray, and on his x-ray, what we found was all these organs in here were showing up, means that they're all calcified, which means that you're prevalent to have heart disease or heart attack. So I said to Bill that day, I'm like, look, man, we got to start immediately. It's worse, it's bad, it's terrible, let's get started. 3 months went by, and I had a guy quit drinking, he quit smoking, and he lost 30 pounds in 3 months. This guy was coming up to ladies, okay? His wife said that before he started care in this office, the only thing he could cook was toast or macaroni and cheese, okay? He was coming up to women here going, hey, do you have any recipes? Because he started cooking, he just got his life and enjoyment. And he was in it to win it. And you guys will all receive my personal cell phone number and email address because I'm on call 24/7. I've gone to hospitals, I've gone to homes, I've gone everywhere out in the state to adjust people when they're in need. Why? Because that's what I do. I believe in it that much that even if something tragic happens, I want to be there as soon as possible to allow your nerves to heal. I get a phone call from his wife in the middle of the night. She said she heard a thud, she went down the stairs, and there he lay. He had a massive heart attack and died. So I lost him, right? I lost him in 3 months. 3 months under care, and the guy was kicking ass. Worst part of the story is, she writes us a letter and says, I know that if you would have x-rayed Bill 2 years ago, he'd be here today. And I was like, ouch. That one was on who? It was on me. Do I know if Bill would have done it then? The answer is what? Who knows? But at least I would have done what? My part. But I didn't. And I went back to Michelle and I said, look, we got to make a choice. We got to make a choice. We draw the line in the sand. We either practice out of fear or we be the leaders that our community needs and we walk boldly. And what do you think we chose? We walk boldly. We used to have a kids' play area. And the reason, like my wife wants me to put one back, but the reason I took it out was because we'd have parents come and they'd bring their kids and just let their kids what? Play. But if subluxation is destroying your lives, who else's lives is it destroying? Our kids. So I said to these parents, I'm like, they either got to get adjusted, and like, we don't want to do that. And I'm like, then you got to go find somewhere else. Because it breaks my heart when parents bring their kids in here and don't let their kids get adjusted. Because I fought my wife March 4th, right? Yeah, that's my son is born. I fought her. Kid comes out and I'm holding him, like, hurry up and move. She's like, give me time. I'm like, move. I'm like, move, hurry. I'm like, let's go. She's like, what's your deal? I'm like, I want to adjust him. She's like, he can wait. What do you think I said? No, it's now. Like that, I remember it was crystal clear. I'm behind her. I'm like, hurry up, come on. Right? It's our joke because I adjusted my kids from seconds after birth. Why? Because I never was. Right? I was never adjusted until I was 12, and it was by my older brother, who's a chiropractor that doesn't do what I do. Why do you adjust me? Because I got hurt playing football. Yeah, absolutely. Good answer, right? So does that make sense why I check families? Okay, I don't care if they start, I don't, but I just check them. Why? Because if we can find damage, you're going to be happier to know when. Yes, sir. Okay, last thing is that I ask you guys to do is help me tell others. Why? Because did you guys learn something new today that makes a lot of sense? Right? Something that might be the answer to your healthcare problems? And how many people deserve on this earth to hear this?
Everybody deserves to hear it.
Right, but I need your help, right? Because I can't do it alone. Why? Because I wish that my parents had heard this message when I was born. I wish, my friend that died when I was in school, that I would have had this message when I started school so I could have saved his life, right? I don't want to play the what if games anymore. I just need your guys' help to get me in front of people to teach this information to. So you're going to see one of these sheets tonight. What this is, it's a dinner with the doc sheet. So we make it easy. I'm going to take you guys out for dinner with your friends and family, people you guys care about. Give them a free meal and educate them on what? The nervous system. If they choose to do something about it, great. If they don't, I don't care because that's not my job. My job is to teach people about this. That's all I want to do. I love teaching this. Why? Because I know it's the answers to so many of our problems in this country. Because if this thing works, we work. And here's the reality, is that my name was where? On one of these sheets. So a few years ago, I had a different staff that just married this last weekend up in Granby, that she went up to a guy after the report and said, hey, would you mind filling this out? He took it, he said no, and he chucked it and it hit that wall. And I remember that day because it was the day I decided to be a man and to stand up, right? Because I could have been a coward and just like, oh, just let him stay, I want his money. But I walked up and I said, what's the problem? He goes, I don't want to do it, you're just trying to grow your practice. I said, is that how you feel? And he said, yeah. I said, great, come with me. He goes, where are we going? I'm like, I'm going to have him give you a refund. He goes, why? I said, because if you think that's what I'm trying to do, then I don't want you to be in here thinking that way about me. And I said, don't you remember my story? And he goes, yeah. I said, how did I get in there? He goes, well, your friend took you to dinner. I said, right. So it'd be very incongruent of me to ask you guys to do what? Not to do the same. And I said, frankly, that's the same life. And this is before I had kids. And I think if I would have had my children, I would have probably punched them. Right? Because the reality is what? That because I went to that dinner, what do I have? I have my health. And when I have my health, what do I have? The world in my hands. Right? I got 2 kids now because of that. Honestly, I don't think I would have had them if I would have never went to that guy's dinner. Because I didn't care if I lived. Now do you think I want to care that I live?
Yeah.
Every single day when I look at both those kids, I'm like, I will work my ass off for you guys. It's not even my wife, okay? Because we were dating and I let myself go, right? It's not the girl. I had the girl. I was like, that's what we do. It's just how we are. But no, I'll fight every single day. And here's the reality, is my mother was diagnosed with cancer in October of 2012, lung cancer. I flew her out that December. She spent a month with me, coming in this office every single day. We worked with her nutrition. She flew back that January, had a CT scan. Her tumor shrunk by over 60% from 1 month, okay? Doctors were like, it's bad, you need to do chemo. I'm like, your tumor shrunk, okay? Next year, I'd fly there, she'd fly here, same thing, just kept her going. She was healthy and strong, healthy and strong. Last November 2013, she had a stroke. Gets taken to the hospital, my dad opens his mouth. She has a history of lung cancer, like, oh, she'd never stroke, she's got brain cancer. Right? That's what they did. They showed him on an x-ray. They're like this, they put up the scan and goes, she's got 3 tumors. The report came through to my fax machine that Sunday. I came here and I read it, guess what it never mentioned? 3 tumors. So I called my dad, I'm like, she doesn't have 3 tumors. He's like, I saw them with my own 2 eyes. I'm like, Dad, I don't care what you saw, it's not in the report. And he got mad at me, he's like, I seen it, just accept it, it's reality. And I'm like, no. One of my brothers got to Canada. I said, go and tell them that we do not judge our mother's health off feelings or history or what they've seen in the past, because that's what the report said. We feel like it's cancer. Is that good enough for you guys, to have your people you love diagnosed off feelings? So it wasn't good enough for me. So I made him do an MRI. That doctor had to walk and tell my dad and he had to formulate an apology. He said I was wrong. There wasn't 3 tumors. There's 1, and it's worse than we think. I'm like, what do you mean worse than you think? He's like, well, it's small, but the location is so bad that your wife only has 6 weeks to live. I'm going, no. I'm saying this isn't cancer. She had a stroke. So I sent her blood work and paperwork to a #1 oncologist in Spain, Dr. Raymond Helu, and I said, I don't think it's stage 4 cancer, I think it's a primary tumor that my mom's had for years. And what do you think he said? You're right. So I call him back in Canada, I tell him this, and what do they think I am? Nuts. So I'm arguing with these oncologists in Canada saying, I want these 4 tests run to prove that it's a primary tumor. And what do you think they said? Can't do it. I said, why? They're like, because these testings aren't covered by Canada. So I'm like, so you're going to put my mom under this? And he's like, well, it should have happened last year. He blamed me for where my mom was at because she never did chemo and radiation a year ago. So here they are. They tell us that stereotactic radiation is the safest type of radiation if you're going to do, but it's only 1 treatment. So in Canada, they told my mom, oh, you can't qualify for that. We got to do 5 radiation treatments. So my mom at 105 pounds, at 79 years old, goes and does 5 radiation treatments. And how well do you think she is today? 70 pounds. She has to walk with a walker or be in a wheelchair, right? Her life is ruined. She was supposed to be down here in March for the birth of my son. She couldn't come. Okay, the doctors in Canada won't let her leave the country. They're too afraid for her life. So they won't sign off so she can't get travel insurance. So they're too afraid, right? Her life is completely changed, and the thing that pisses me off the most is that I'd have no one that can do what I do there, right? There's no one that does what I do in Edmonton. The closest office is 4 hours away on the worst highway in North America, the most traffic deaths a year. Do I want an 85-year-old dad driving my mom down to that office? The answer is what? No. The other thing that pisses me off is that my oldest brother is a what? Guess what he's never done to my mom? Right, it hurts. But here's the thing is that I have to let it go. Why? Because there's lives here that I need to focus on and focus on you guys instead of my own family. Why? Because if I focus on them, what do I get? Nothing I want. But when I focus on you guys, what can I do? I can change history. And that's what I hope you guys give me the opportunity to do. Because I pray every single day that someone does what I do where my mom lives, so I know she can get well. But I'm going to fight for her because she had a CT scan last week, and if her tumors haven't progressed, I'm telling the doctor to sign off on her and give her permission to travel. Because I'm going to get ugly. Why? Because I'm going to fight for who? My mom, absolutely. And I fight for you guys every single day. So does it make sense? Take you guys back. I'll get you in the rooms and get you guys out of here, okay? Cool. My staff will put you in a room.